Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Because during the weekend we have some 3 students who have taken refuges. I just want to do a little bit of recap for the old students too. So what is the refuge means? It not just like it doesn't mean conversion religiously. It's not just means that. Of course, you are devoting yourself to practice the Dhamma, and you may start to call yourself so-called Buddhist. Yeah, Buddhist. I don't like that term myself. It's strange, eh? You have a very strange teacher. Because if it is an ist, that means it is an ism. And the Buddhist teachings, from my point of view, and actually from a lot of a lot of other scholars or practitioners, they also think that the Buddha teachings is not just a religion. It's not an ism. Yeah, and it is actually teachings that educate us, and neither is a philosophy. If it is a philosophy, then it is a scholastic thing. Yeah, and if it is an ism, that means it is only applicable, and it is only workable, and it is only applicable to those people who call themselves Buddhist. But as we all know, that the Buddhist is actually not teaching a religion. He's teaching the truth of existence. And what is the truth of existence? Is everything is impermanence. Everything arises depending on conditions. So that's why nothing has a real self in it. And because of that, if we have this idea of me, mine, and I, then we definitely will start to create so much difficulties for ourselves. And that difficulties, we can call them dukkha, or sufferings, or miseries. So that's why I feel that the Buddhist teachings are teachings to educate us so that we can convert ourselves, correct and convert ourselves. The conversion is really not from one religion to another religion. The conversion is actually a transformation. You're transforming yourself from one kind of person, one kind of personality, or one kind of person to another kind of personality, a skillful personality and a skillful person, a person with virtues, with merits, rather than a person without virtues or without merits. Okay, so that's how I see the Buddhist teachings, and as most of you have known me for some time, know that I don't usually use the word Buddhism or Buddhist. That is my point of view. But you agree, that's fine. If you don't agree, that's fine with me. It doesn't really bother me. But this is how I see the Buddhist teachings. It's really way out of the box of religion. Mm-hmm. And it's for everyone to practice. It's not just for the so-called Buddhists to practice. And what he taught us is applicable, or we are all subjected to that. Whether you believe in him, whether you take him as a teacher or not, like impermanence, dependent origination. Whether we believe in the Buddhist, whether we call ourselves a Buddhist or not, that's applicable to us, to everybody, to a Buddhist or a non-Buddhist. Okay, so our existence, even our existence, the existence of inanimate things, the existence of the nature, the mountains, the river, the earth, are all governed by what he taught, the law of cause and effect, the law of impermanence. Whether you believe in him religiously or not, it really doesn't matter. You will be governed by that anyway. Yeah. So the refuge is. So when we take refuge, that means we commit ourselves to take the Buddha as our teacher, even though he has gone, he's passed. He was born 2,600 years ago. And this teacher, what does he have? So, for example, when we look at the Buddha statue, or this Bodhisattva statue, what does he represent? What does the statue represent? It represents compassion, it represents wisdom. So each figure or each statue actually represents different kind of qualities. Okay, so with Sakyamuni Buddha, it means that it represents so much determination, perseverance, and virtues, merits, and of course compassion and wisdom and ultimate freedom. Okay, so the refuge in the Buddha, we look at our Buddha, we look at the teachers. Wow, I take him as my teacher. Then what should I do? Oh, I rely totally on him, though he come and save me, or he come and help me when I'm in deep water. No. We rely on him to his teachings, so that we cultivate, we practice, and we develop the similar qualities to what my teacher has. Okay, so we are on the path of developing in compassion and wisdom, not the other way around. All right. So the Dhamma is the truth pertaining to our existence, or there is a lot of definition to the word Dhamma. So the one very important concept is the truth pertaining to our existence, or pertaining to existence of everything, of this whole universe. Not just the existence, is our own existence also in relationship to others, to the environment, to people, to things, to situation and whatnot. There's a whole list you can go on with this. So refuge in the Dhamma, that means I take confidence in the teachings, in these teachings, and I take confidence in this truth because I experienced it myself, and I know that my experience is really vividly true, and that's what the Buddha taught. So I verify my own experience with what the Buddha has taught, with teachings, and I thought, this is how he taught, and this is what I experienced. Now I believe in this. Not just that, because the Buddha says so, I believe in it. The elder says so, I believe in it. And Sifu says so, I believe in it. No, that will be blind faith. For example, in a situation, and you think that, I really should do this. If I do this, it will bring benefit to others. It will bring benefit to the whole situation. Then, no matter whether that you may be creating a little bit of chaos in the midst of everything, but because the intention behind is for the benefits of the whole situation, for people, for whatever, you just do it. Otherwise, oh no, I can't do it because I'm a little small potato here. I can't do it because I will be, creating so much chaos, and everybody will be pointing fingers at me. Then that will become that is a blind faith. I can't do it because I don't belong here. I can't do it because I'm not the supervisor here. I can't do it because so many because. But you missed out the part that is the most important, is the benefits. Benefits to the whole situation, benefits to whatever that is happening in that particular moment. See?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not pointing it to him, to her, but because we brought up we brought up a conversation yesterday on the way to Fort Mountain that that's how I explained to her how we look at situations. Okay, and the refuge in the Sangha is the monastic community. So Sangha in the old days, the Sangha mean monastic community, but it's I guess it's the 21st century. When Sangha, this term, come to the West, people use it as just a community, not monastic community. So there is like lay people Sangha, meditation Sangha, and yes.
What is a monastic community?
Monastics. That means nuns and monks.
Oh.
Yeah, monastic community. Okay, nuns and monks. So that is called Sangha. Sangha, Sangha.
Yeah.
That word is a Pali word. It's an ancient Indian language, very ancient. And so sometimes I use that Pali language because it's better. It's easier to understand. If you put it into the English word sometimes cannot actually define that particular word. So I some of the words I tend to stick to the old terms.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Sangha, very strange. This word, when it arrives to the West, people start using it in so many different places, and so there is lay people Sangha and my Sangha, and all these lay people calling them their little community of friends all together call them a Sangha, but they really use the term wrongly. It's actually monastic community. It means monastic community. Okay? So refuge in the monastic community, that means because monastic community abiding their life with precepts, okay, with the monastic precepts, which you all know for the monks is how many precepts?
250.
Yeah, for the nuns?
348.
Yeah. Cheers.
Why such the vast difference between men and women?
Oh, well, men and women are vast differences.
It seems like there's a lot more that women have to. I didn't realize
Well,
that.
no, in the old days, I think there is a lot of reason to do with in the old days, right? India, right? Women.
Yeah, no, I.
And also, it's a lot of them actually are protecting the women. Like, for example, one minor precept is you don't go alone. You don't go out alone anywhere. Okay.
I knew that one. Okay. Yeah.
You knew that one?
I've done my best to read a bunch of them. But
Oh, I see.
They don't stick, right? Not all of them.
Yeah. But so why would the woman not allowed to go anywhere on her own? Because in the old days, I mean, women are sort of minority in their tradition, and and so they always need to stick to their husband or the family. So that is it. So I remember when my Sifu was still alive, we asked him this question. So what happened? Because I traveled so much, even in the old days, I traveled in 90s when I first came here. I travel almost like twice a year back to Hong Kong to see my teacher. And I said, "Wow, Sifu, this is really I'm preaching the precept all the time." He said, "But you see, you are going into places that you're very fond of. You know the places, then you won't end up in danger. You're not going into grottos, or you're not going into places that you never know, or going to places that you've never been, and you don't understand, and you don't speak the language, and you will be like you're putting yourself in a more delicate position. So he said, because you're coming back home to Hong Kong, which you know very well. You were brought up there, you grew up there, so you know. And then when you go back to Canada, you are now living in Canada, so you know Canada. And then after you land there, you're not going anywhere. You're heading home, so you know you're protected by your own self. So you know, some of the precepts, I think they are really, because it's historical. Okay, yeah. But okay, the 3 refuges and the precept you all know. So the precepts is really, I want to put a reminder to you, is you just try your best to put the right efforts into. The precepts are really reminding you to put your efforts, the right kind of efforts, into the actions, whether it's bodily, whether it's verbal, or whether it's mental. And so it's helping us to what? To try, to abstain and restrain ourselves. So abstain, you know what is abstaining means, right? You don't do it. You avoid doing it. Restraining is you control yourself. Okay, so these are 2 aspects of abiding by the precepts. So, for example, if that is if killing, for example, okay, then when would you breach a precept? You know that it is a living being. And there is an intention to kill, and you take actions to kill, and then you have killed. So there are 4 aspects to this. Then you have breached that precept. That's why I said to you on Sunday, those people, the 3 of you have taken precepts. If you think that you're on the verge of breaking the precepts, and if you get that one moment of clarity, and you still get one moment, and make sure you call me, Sifu, I am ready to break one precept. Can I let that go? Let that precept go. The very easy precept to break. What do you think? Which one is the easiest for you? Is verbal. What about you? Verbal too.
Verbal.
Yeah.
Accidentally killing.
That's accidentally is not intentionally. Remember. If you probably haven't heard the story about the monk, the blind monk. The blind monk who already attained arahant, okay, and after the summer retreat, he went back. They all went back to pay respect to the Buddha, and because they got there late, so the Buddha was in meditation, so they waited until the next morning. Then that evening, this blind monk went around the monastery and walk in meditation, because he was blind, so he wouldn't know what was on the ground, right? So he killed a lot of insects or worms or whatever. And so the other one group of monks saw him doing that. So next morning, when they went to actually pay respect to the Buddha, the group of monks said, he killed a lot of insects, he killed a lot of worms last night by walking around the monastery. And the Buddha asked the monks, did you see him intentionally kill? What do you think the answer would be? No. And the Buddha said, an arahat, an enlightened monastic, will never intentionally kill. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if you accidentally kill, you don't have to bear the consequences. But that doesn't mean that you are excused from being careful. You have to be mindful when you walk, when you do your garden work. You have to be mindful, you have to be careful. But if really it happened, then it's not your fault. Okay? Dana?
Jeremy before was like eating meat when he was offered meat. Does it change now with the precept? I'm not sure.
Are you going to be? You're going to be vegetarian, aren't you?
Well, I am a
Yeah,
vegetarian
he's a
now, but
vegetarian.
when I go out to somebody's house and they're eating supper,
Yeah.
and it's their meal, if they offer it to me, I'll eat what they offer. If
Oh.
So, and that was one of the questions I had asked Eva about it, because now that I've taken the precept, I actually wanted to know the answer to the same question.
That's very good, Dana. You ask question on behalf of him. Well, if I were you, I would just tell them, I'm a vegetarian now. That's what you did, Laurie, right? I think she took the precepts 2 years ago.
3.
3 years now. Wow. And she's just, what did you do? You just tell your friends.
Yeah, very first weekend after I took the precepts, I got invited up for dinner, and I told them I was a vegetarian, and then they served a great big, huge spread of prawns and seafood. They said, "Well, vegetarians eat." It was very embarrassing.
Yeah. So they won't get offended. I remember when I became a vegetarian 35 years ago. In those days, not many people were vegetarians in those days, in the 80s, right? I was one of the rare ones. Anyway, my friends always offer me chicken because that was my food. Days in, days out. Always, can we bring you to dinner? We can have fried chicken. I said, no. Can we go and have some chicken? No, sorry. And he said, you're weird. I said, yeah. Yeah, I'm weird. And so they invited me, and I declined a couple of times. They don't invite me anymore. When they invite me, or I invite them, then I took them out to vegetarian restaurants. And just the same with the family. And the family did not, it was difficult for them to accept it in the beginning. Then I started to make wonderful, tasty dishes to them. Wow, is this vegetarian? I said, yeah, isn't it nice? So, just with a little bit of art of speaking. Little bit of art of speaking. Don't say, oh, I'm a vegetarian, I can't eat your meat. That is not right. Don't do that. Oh, don't do that. With the art of speaking, you say, oh, thank you, but I'm a vegetarian now. Okay. People will understand. Yeah, Liz.
So I was talking with my friend about taking precepts, and I told her that about the first one.
Yeah.
And I have lots of shoes. And her first question was, what about wearing
Shoes. Well, those are from the old days.
Yes.
You don't want to throw them out, right?
Right.
So when you buy shoes again, probably you don't need to buy any more shoes. If you have many shoes.
I've got lots of shoes.
I'm retired now.
So you hook onto shoes? You like shoes?
I'm attached to my shoes.
Yes. No, you don't have to throw them out for the time being. You don't have to throw them out. But when you buy new shoes, be very mindful.
Because it's difficult to find.
Yeah, I know. But try to use those shoes which don't come from protected animals.
Yes.
That is very important, like crocodiles.
Yes.
Those. But sometimes shoes are very difficult, unavoidable. Okay. Yeah, and you just look at the shoes and say to the animal skins, I'm sorry. I will look after you very well. Okay. Sometimes you can't do that. Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah. Okay. All right. So abiding, how would you abide is, the first is, you do not perform such actions yourself, and try to be mindful try to be mindful when you really have to buy shoes, just buy one pair, don't buy two pairs. Okay? And then the second is, do not ask others to perform such actions for you. And the third is, do not rejoice in others' actions. I remember it was probably last year. We all of us went for a walk along the river, and people were fishing. You know, just across the shore, they were fishing. And I walked by, and they were standing there to watch. And they said, they caught a fish. I said, stop. Stop looking. Because why? When you say, oh, they caught a fish, that means there is some kind of excitement in the back of the mind. You may not necessarily rejoice in their catching a fish, but there is an excitement in the back of the mind. Why would you say, oh, they caught a fish, right? Why would you say such thing? I said, don't look. Walk away. So when I walk along the river, I always say when I see those fishermen, those people fish, oh, may you not catch a fish today. That's what I say. And so when I told them, don't watch, there were a couple there. And the man asked me, why did you say that? I said, well, do you really like having your head being banged onto the rocks? Do you like watching people banging your heads on the rocks? Because that's what they did, right? They caught a fish and they banged their head on the rock, and then they just slice it open, right? And he said, wow, I've never thought about that. He said, thank you. So I don't know whether he will become a vegetarian, but at least he actually openly accepted that answer.
So with the abiding, is it just you're referring to like the precepts or like
the precepts?
And like with the story about the fish and stuff, like is it like if someone's like being malicious with like an animal, or if it's just like, oh, they're eating it for the good of the family, if they're like hunting, or like they can't provide that resource unless they're doing that type of thing?
That's different.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because like for example, in the old days in Tibet, they can't grow anything. They have nothing except animal skin and animal meat. So I mean, there is no such thing as called vegetarian. You have to become vegetarian. If you take up the Buddhist teachings, the Buddha did not force everybody to become vegetarian. But the Buddha taught that we need to develop compassion, because that is one very, very important quality that we need to develop. If you need to develop compassion, how can you develop compassion while you're taking others' life to sustain your own life? Right? So that is a dilemma. But being in Canada is also, we are actually fortunate. I always said when I first came here, in the 70s, when I first came here, I always saw frozen meat. Everything was frozen in those days. Only nowadays, when so many immigrants came, then the Caucasians started to learn how to pick up the fresh prawn, the fresh lobster from the tank, and then have it killed. In the old days, you remember, in the old days, you don't see those live things, right? So those frozen meats, is called a kind of pure, so like a not really meat, but just meat. So because you didn't kill it yourself, and it was killed for everybody, just putting in there for you. So So that is the part. Okay. So this abiding actually applies to all precepts, including our 348 precepts. Okay. So you don't do it yourself, and you don't ask others to do it for you. For example, remember I talked about the watercress? The watercress along Lake Road, remember? So I don't go and pick those watercress myself. And I don't ask people to go and pick the watercress for me, right? If I would have known you live around the area, I would have told you please go and pick those watercress for me. And I would rejoice if you really have picked. So that is how you should abide by the precepts. In the beginning, it might be difficult, but gradually you get used to it. It becomes natural. It comes naturally, okay? But I always say, if you are a vegetarian, make sure you are not creating chaos in the family. Not creating quarrels. Everybody is quarreling with each other because you're vegetarian. And that is for feeding the whole purpose. Okay? We want to bring harmony into family. Family is a mini community, right? We need to be harmonized, starting from our own family. If the family is not harmonized, how are we going to have a harmonious community, right? So we need to start working there, all right? If there are grudges, if there are negativities towards that, talk it out, figure it out. If it cannot be solved, see which way you can go. All right? Okay. Yes, please.
What about cooking meat or something for someone else? Like my husband said, how is it going to affect me?
That's your family. You have to do it. That's your duties. But you can choose to buy what kind of meat, whatever. Because you cannot just force your husband to become vegetarian, right?
Yeah, that's what he said.
I mean, a lot of the students still cook for their families, but eventually the families will say, please, I don't need you to cook for me anymore. If I need to eat meat, I'll eat outside. Please, Mom, or please, Dad, you don't have to cook for me anymore.
Because I don't feel good.
Yeah.
Cooking it?
Yeah, but you have to. It's a part of your housewife duty. But I'm sure your husband, sooner or later, he will tell you, please don't cook for me anymore. I'll eat it somewhere else. Yeah. It really comes from you. When I was a vegetarian, the whole family was, just a couple of siblings were very receptive, but the others really didn't understand. But I cook for them, and when I went out to eat with them, they did not order any vegetarian meal for me. That's okay. I just eat the vegetables. I did not complain. I did not say anything. And eventually, whenever they go out with me, they will order. They will either go to a vegetarian restaurant or they will order a couple of dishes for me. So make sure you don't make that a scene. You don't make that you are very important, so everybody have to please my vegetarianism. No, you don't do that, okay? Try to be humble.
These days there's lots of vegetarian meats that are very close to meat.
Yeah.
That taste almost identical. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But
I don't like
it's all
those things.
soya products and stuff like that.
Yeah. But you see, meat eaters don't like the imitated meat. They don't like the imitated meat, right? Okay? All right? Okay, so we come back to the book now. You have any questions about these two? Because I ever said that, it would be nice if I talk about the precepts, the preaching of the precepts. Yes?
The one other question I did have was if a person made an honest mistake, and the example I used actually was the night before I talked to you, but I bought a beet crust vegetable pizza, but it turns out when I got home there was tiny little bits of ham all over it.
Okay.
So I cooked it instead of wasting it,
Yeah.
and I did eat it,
Uh-huh.
right? So I'm just wondering, is that,
Okay,
in that sense the,
I'm going to share with you a story. I have so many stories to tell. Okay. My teacher, okay, your grand teacher, okay. He went in the 70s. He was in China teaching. One night he got to Shanghai, very late, like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, very cold. And he and the attendant, who was a householder man, they haven't eaten for the whole day. And in the old days, the traveling was not so easy and so smooth, right? So they wanted to get something to eat. But in the old days, China, all the restaurants are, what do you call that? Like run by governments, run by the country. So there's no private business. So they close at 5 o'clock, they close at 5 o'clock. Everything closed at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. No more food after that time. So the householder student went knocking on each restaurant, and nobody would open the door at 9 o'clock at night. Eventually they got one to open, and the student said to the vendor, and said, "We are very hungry. We have been traveling. Me and my sifu have been traveling. Do you think you can make us a bowl of noodle?" You know, China has been really closed in for a long time, and they haven't seen a monk for a long time. They don't know what a monk is look like, especially in the 70s after the Cultural Revolution. Okay, so the owner of the shop, I mean the person who opened up the door really cooked a big bowl of noodles for them, big bowl of hot noodles, 2 bowls. So they sat down and ate, feeling very contented. So they ate and ate and ate. And then on the bottom, they found some pork. So there was maybe a pork soup, a stock with pork. And the student said to the man, we are Buddhists, and my sifu is a monk, and you put pork into our bowl, and you're breaking our precept, blah, 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 blah. All those things. And my sifu said to him, "You sit down, you pay, and sit down." And after that, he came back and he told this story. He said, "I told them, we are eating the noodle because we were hungry. We are not eating the noodles for the sake of the pork." You know what I mean? We are not eating the noodle for the sake of eating pork. We are eating the noodle because we are hungry. If you can, just pick out the ham and go and feed the birds. If you can't, then eat it and don't feel bad about it. All right? Okay? These are all very trivial things. I mean, it's not big deal, but it can, if you can avoid it, avoid. If you can't, then I mean, what can you do? Because when I travel, sometimes, my bowl of food would have like garlic, onion, and meat in it, because we don't eat garlic and onion also, right? So I mean, what can we do? We just pick them out and put it on the side, because I'm not eating for the sake of eating garlic. Okay? All right? Yeah?
Why would onion and garlic be not able to eat?
That's a good question. Well, it's only for monastics and for people who taken the Bodhisattva vows. Garlic and onion belongs to a class of vegetable. We call the 5 classes, the 5 vegetables: garlic, onion, leeks, chives, and one other was the what? Huh? Huh? Shallots? No, it's a herb. It's an Indian herb.
Oh, cilantro?
No. It's not. There's none of that nowadays. That
Asafoetida or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Asafetida.
The Asafetida, yeah.
Right.
We don't have that here.
I do.
Oh, really?
It comes in a dry powder.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I didn't know it was in that category.
Why? Because these things, when eaten raw, it will actually have some kind of secretion that stimulates a lot of emotions, anger, irritations, emotions. If eaten cooked, it stimulates a lot of lust. Okay, so for us monastics, we have to abstain from it, and for actually meditators, a lot of meditators, if they really pay attention to their food, they will find out. When they eat those stuff, they really affects their meditation. Yeah. Okay. Don't be shocked. I'm not asking you to abstain from it. Okay.
With the garlic though, like my grandpa, he used to eat quite a bit of it because he said it helps the body quite a bit. But I'm not sure like with stuff that if it doesn't, or if it was just something that he might have believed.
There is actually a lot of this kind of people who, for their health, they say, oh, garlic pills and garlic what and garlic what. Yes, garlic could be very useful, but you see, when we are actually walking on the path of teachings by the Buddha, we are not just paying attention to the well-being of the body. We need to think about the well-being of our mind. That is, the well-being of the mind is actually way more important than the well-being of the body, because this body is finite. The body will eventually is gone, right? But the mind is going to continue into the future. The consciousness is going to continue into the future. So we pay more attention to the well-being of the mind than to the well-being of the body. It doesn't mean that we don't look after our body. No. We treasure our body because we need this body to practice. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. If the body is not well, how can we practice, right? So we need, but we also don't go overboard to look after this body. So, this vitamin is good. Okay, I dumped thousands into it. Oh, this is good. Oh, keep drinking it. No. It's not necessarily helpful to you. It may be helpful to others. It's not necessarily be helpful to you. You don't have to be crazily over on those things for the body. All you need is just eat good, healthy food. Do exercise. But look after the mind.
So I do have a question on that as well. Like, say for example, if you, or not yourself, but like if knowing what you said about it, does that mean like maybe changing it sometimes from like a larger amount to a smaller quantity to help your mindfulness?
Yeah. I have had one student who was a PhD, a postdoctorate student in Chicago, and she was crying one day during the meditation retreat to me, crying. I said, "What's going on with you?" She says, "Nothing." I said, "Something is wrong. Is nothing wrong with your meditation? Is something wrong with the family?" She said, "Oh, my husband is so abusive. But he's a meditator. But he's so abusive. He's so angry." I said, "Well, what does he do? He's a postdoctorate person too, doing, very, very educated. Both of them are doing their postdoc." And I said, "How abusive?" "Oh," she said, "oh, he scolded me all the time. Sometimes he pulled my hair. Sometimes he just pushed me, and he was constantly angry." I said, "He may have a lot of stress with work." She said, no, he's very good at work. He's very good with everybody else but me. But he loves me. I said, wow, that's very contradictory, right? Then I said, but because they are of Indian descent, descent. I asked her, I said, do you eat a lot of garlic, fresh garlic, raw garlic? She said, oh, that's the first thing he eats when he comes home. Half a bowl. Raw, fresh garlic. I said, wow, that's a lot. I said, then you cook with garlic and leeks? She said, yes, a lot. I said, well, you try. You try cut down on that garlic, especially the raw one. Cut it down and see what happens. 3 months. Give it 3 months and try. And cut down on your cooking too. 3 months later, she actually emailed me, less than 3 months. She said, he was so much better after cutting down the garlic, because she went home and told him that I suggested this. And he didn't know me, but he tried. And eventually, after a year, they cut down completely all the garlic, and his temperament just totally settled. So food can affect our mindset. Okay, the stability of the mind. Yeah. So
I know with like a lot of like carbohydrates with foods, it's like making the brain not function. But I didn't even think with vegetables that it can affect that well too. Cause
in a different way.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. So you still want to go on, or you want to go into a discussion? Because only 10 minutes. Okay. Maybe I can. Let's see. Let's see how many. All right. We can start. In the Buddha's words. So this is the book. Anybody has the book? You have the book with the cover? Okay, show. Oh, there. Yeah, that's the book. So we are studying this book. And if you would like to buy one, have a physical copy, you can buy one. And we're going to study this. And I think for this year, I probably will be able to do a couple of chapters over a few months, couple of chapters. And this book, I told you, is compiled, put together by Bhikkhu Bodhi. And the first chapter is talking about human conditions. And in this chapter, the first thing, I wanted to show you this first. So you remember him, right? This little guy, the Buddha, the prince, the baby Buddha. So you saw him on Sunday. You saw him with a finger pointing up, and one finger, the left finger pointing down. When he was born, he said, I am the highest in the world. I am the foremost in this world. I am the best in this world. And this is the last birth. There is no further becoming here. That means there is no more birth. When he was born, he took 7 steps, and he said such thing. And you would think, wow, he is very arrogant, eh? He's so proud. I am the highest in this world. I'm the foremost in this world. I'm the best in this world. We can let the last 2 sentences be. But the first 3, you say, wow, so proud, so much pride in him. No, he doesn't mean that. What he means is actually wonderful depiction of him in the Anguttara Nikaya, which is the first. This page on this book. This page on this book. There's no page in here, no page number in here, but I put it in here. He said, tamed. He is supreme among those who tame, or who are tamed. At peace, he is the sage among those who bring peace. Freed, he is the chief of those who set free. Delivered, he is the best of those who deliver. Why would he say so? This Anguttara Nikaya is one of the oldest canons being compiled, and a lot of the teachings in here come from this Nikaya and also Samyutta Nikaya. So what he meant by here is actually nobody in this world, no teachings in this world can surpass this teaching that he taught. Because he talked about impermanence. That is the highest teaching. Is there any higher teaching than impermanence? Is there? No. So he taught about dependent origination. Everything arises depending on conditions and passes depending on conditions. And this dependent origination, that's the highest of how we come about and how we go. Is there anything that surpasses this one? It's impossible. And what he taught us is he wanted us to be free. He wanted us to attain the ultimate freedom, those complete total liberation from our sufferings, and be happy and be truly peaceful. Is there any teachings that can surpass this teaching? Total deliverance, not dependent on anybody. No. Yes, really, no. That's what it meant. It doesn't mean that, oh, I am the most authoritative person in this world, you all have to listen to me. No, he didn't say that, no. He said that my teachings, these teachings, is supreme. Because there's nothing more supreme than this one.
There's nothing more than the truth.
Exactly. There's nothing more than the truth. Right? So that's why. So I think this explains all about how the Buddha actually looked at his teaching, and that's why in the beginning of this session I said the teachings is for all. It's not just for a group of people who call themselves Buddhist. If it is just for a group of people who call themselves Buddhists, we really underestimate the teachings of the Buddha. Really belittle it, right? And we shouldn't. Okay, but it takes time, and the Buddhas once said, my teachings is not for those people who have no connection with me. So if somebody has no connection with the Buddha, even though he encountered the teachings, he won't take confidence in it. I have seen so many people, coming into here, going, coming, going, and they eventually left because they did not have that solid, grounded connection with the teachings of the Buddha. And how would they find confidence to practice?
Is Buddha connected with the idea or concept of God, or
No.
Oh, okay.
No. There is no concept of God in the Buddha's teachings. No.
When Buddha says I am everything, or
He doesn't say that.
Or there was something about him saying that he's nothing because
His nothingness. No.
Okay.
That he's nothing doesn't mean he's nothing. Sorry.
It's long.
The nothingness doesn't mean that he's nothing. It's a very deep concept. Don't go there.
Okay.
Don't go there.
I read out the Heart Sutra quite often, so that's what she's when it
When you have time, go online, go on YouTube, listen to my Heart Sutra teachings. You will be even more confused. That's why I go back to this basic teaching because of a few new people. That's why I go back to the fundamental, not fundamental, but fundamental foundations. And this is actually very, very important in order to go further to understand that no self concept. So, yes, Paul?
Personally, the practice is just as important or more important than any theory. You need the theoretical part, but you need the experience of the practice to totally understand.
Yeah, when you practice long enough, then you will have to start to go into the theory, to really start to understand what you're going through with your experience. Otherwise, you're just sitting there, just experiencing all the breath, the feelings and all that. You won't go deep enough. The theory and the practice have to go together, hand in hand, like two wings to the bird. In the beginning, if you just jump into theory, you become too scholastic. Okay? But in the beginning, you need to actually start practice. Practice a little bit more, and then you go into the fundamentals, the simple stuff first. And then you understand more, then you go into deeper and deeper. Then you will gradually also, I experienced this. This is what the Buddha taught. Oh, I experienced this. This is what he taught in such a book, in such a sutta. Okay? So they go hand in hand. So, dedication of merits. So let us do it all together. May these blessings extend to all, that we with all the other living beings together will attain the Buddha way. May all beings, visible, invisible, human, non-human, big or small, far or near, may they be free of enmity, free of miseries. May they start to live in a world with brightness, warmth, and experience compassionate love, and be peaceful and happy. May we wish more and more people will encounter the words of the Buddha, study them, practice them, help themselves to liberate themselves from their own entanglements and attain this ultimate freedom and happiness.